Hello. It gives me great pleasure to bring you insights from the art of dress. I'd like to explore with you today the refined dramatic. And the person that I found that I think can best illustrate the refined dramatic for us is Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. When you look at this image of Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, you see that she is a woman of strength and power. And also, you see the hair, it's moving. And that is the key to the riddle of the refined dramatic that every person has to solve. The refined dramatic has as an inspiration the number 2. So in the last fabric style that we looked at was the elaborate natural with the inspiration of the number 1. So the inspiration of the number 2 starts out with the same idea of the upright form, but then a significant change happens. And now, rather than spending drawing our attention to the form itself, what we have is movement. So once there's movement, you change from having just the form to now a different place, a different action, a different experience. So the experience of movement then happens through the flowingness of the garments. So whereas in the elaborate natural, it was weight, now with the refined dramatic, it's not only weight, it's also the movement of the fabric, and that happens through gathers. And it's not so much, it's not going to be so much because of the heaviness of the fabric, the gathers pull in and then release. And it's very free and flowing. And you can see that illustrated here, how the fabric pulls in and then releases. And you'll notice that this is happening through the entire garment, because this style, even though there is an expression of movement and it goes to the number 2, it still holds on to a pretty strong form of like a long line. In fact, this is the second extra long line. There are only 2. And the last one was the elaborate romantic that we just looked at. And this is how these 2 styles have similarities, so that they even feel their own commonality. This lovely dress shows a number of things besides the long, extra long line. It also shows the way the folds around her legs, around her lower legs, they don't just, it's not like, it requires a heavy fabric to give it the swoop and the power, because this is a very powerful style. And another thing that adds power to this style is the monochromatic color scheme. So everything like this has a possibility to add power or take away depending on the style. So for the refined dramatic, the monochromatic color scheme adds a lot of power. And the line flows with the body and flows into the body. Now the neckline does not do this. The neckline actually starts at the top. So this is like a reflected focal point for the refined dramatic. The main focal point is at the fingertips, low on the body. But the reflective focal point is up at the shoulders, where the V neckline opens out. And it's a wide V. At its best, it's a wide V. Very soft fabric. You can see how it just flows. And another thing about it is that the angled line. So if you think about line for a second, a flat neckline, a boat neckline, that gives a feeling of stillness and a feeling of, it's just very reflected and like water. It's a water style. If you have a scoop neckline, that gives a feeling of softness and relaxed, and that's an air style. Well, there are 2 styles that use this, angled line, and this is one of them, because the angled line is the most powerful, and it's like, and you can feel the power of it in this neckline. So it grounds the style, and it also opens it out, because it is an omega style, not fitted, which I call alpha, but omega, opening out. And that's very important, because the line of the style is not actually all that exaggerated. It's not an extremely omega style. It's on the low side in a way, or medium, I guess you'd have to say. But so the neckline, the open neckline, adds a tremendous amount, and it also adds power with the angle. So this really simple little dress shows a number of things, but the main thing that I'd like to point out is that the power of the design happens below the waist, and that is because the focal point of the style is on the body at the fingertips, where the fingertips come to. And so that has to be reflected, otherwise the style doesn't have the same impact or power, and it doesn't match your body in the same way if this is your style. So even though the fabric is maybe not as soft as you might like, and it makes up for that by being a little lighter in weight, but of course this style really loves a little heavier fabric, it's still very successful in showing the refined dramatic. One other thing about the refined dramatic, which is so powerful, is that it is the most simple of styles. In this dress, you can really see that it really illustrates that every seam is in fact an impediment to the simplicity of Rosie Huntington-Whiteley and all refined dramatics. And where this dress has the entire bodice made without a seam, you can also see that the lack of seams could actually be a help if you were trying to show the way the fabric itself can gather together in folds and then release. Now, if you imagine someone walking in this dress, even Rosie, you can see just from the way she's standing, even though she's standing still, that her leg is going to actually exit the dress. And so you can see why it works together for the fabric to pull in, especially below the waist, allowing for the power of movement to flow out with the dress. And also you can see again the power of the monochromatic and how the flowiness of the fabric would give this dress the absolute impact. So that watching the line, because line is still the fabric, the line enables us to see what this fabric can do. And they work together, line and fabric, in the case of the refined dramatic. So here you see the gathering in and releasing out, and how that illustrates movement. And of course, that's what we're showing with the number 2. And again, the power of the design is below the waist. Beautiful. This lovely dress is doing all the same things. Everything is there. And the sleeve, it illustrates the sleeve coming in to the wrist. It's not a fitted sleeve. It doesn't need to be, nor actually should it probably ever be a completely fitted sleeve, because this is an omega style, but it comes into the wrist, and in that way it follows the line of the body. And again, on the pant, it comes into the ankle, and this is just the beauty of this line following the human form. And one thing I love about this fabric is that it really shows you how powerful texture is for the refined dramatic, and adding so much interest to what's going on with the style archetype. And this lovely dress, although it's a little high on the body where this comes in and then releases, the tie helps enormously because it brings the focal point down to the fingertips for her. Really beautiful. And again, monochromatic, which I guess you'll see in every case. This is a really successful dress for her. It's probably a very famous dress. And you can see a lot of the different things. The focal point is marked by the slit, and you have the folds, and it's coming in at the legs because the fabric is very soft. And the sleeve is there, the opening out at the neckline for for this very beautiful earth style. So lovely. But there is another aspect to her style that is not picked up in this dress, and that adds another tremendous amount, and that is back interest. In the fabric, all the fabric styles are actually working with, because they're working with fabric, and fabric is showing some kind of will, and that's what, of course, movement is an expression of will. So the back interest is showing the forward back, which is always the expression of will. So the impulse of moving forward or moving backwards is shown by the difference in the style from the front to the back. So one way of doing this is folds around the back, and it's a very beautiful way because it also really shows you the beauty of the fabric. And another way of doing it is a high-low hem, and of course a train is a very extended version of a high-low hem. And don't know if you can see everything there is to see in this beautiful dress. It's actually a very pale aqua, which is a stunning color for her. And the fabric has not only the softness and the weight, it also has a shine worked into it, which doesn't really come through too much, and texture worked into it. So it's just an amazing fabric. I think she's hitting everything in this fabric: shine, texture. It doesn't have a balanced weave. It has an unbalanced. So it has that strong drapiness, that really liquid drape. It has I would say it has no really print in it, because this archetype doesn't require print. The solid is just perfect for Rosie's version, at least, of this style. And then the last thing is the softness, utter softness. And so you can see the amazing power and movement that this style shows as the inspiration. It always looks like Rosie's moving beautifully and gracefully across whatever terrain she's photographed in. So thank you very much. I hope you're enjoying seeing the style archetypes, and I will continue with all of the rest, because there are 13 styles to illustrate. But I'd also like to invite you to come to my website. It's theartofdress.com, and there you can find out more about style in general and about your style. There's a quiz, and the quiz helps you understand your style, your artistry, and your coloring, and that's because all three of them influence each other and work together and show you can understand a little bit more about your own inspiration, and how by dressing to your style, artistry, and coloring, you make the art of dress come alive. So thank you very much, and see you again soon.